Welcome to another episode of Science Matters. This is where we discuss science matters and emphasize that science really does matter. In today's episode, we have a guest, Prof. Arnaud, who just presented his amazing work at NASA. His work is around liquid hydrogen, tanks, innovation in the aerospace system, but I'll allow Prof to introduce himself to us and also tell us more about this groundbreaking innovation that they just presented. Welcome, Prof, to the Science Matters.
Pendulo, thank you very much. It's very nice to be here.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for this opportunity. So, we develop computational fluid dynamics models. This is our field. It's a big word, but basically what it is we develop virtual models using computational mathematics on computers. And why do we do that? It's so that we can see and model complex fluid flow problems and tell designers, people that are designing aircraft or spacecraft or satellites, what's going to happen when they actually launch and fly. Okay? And all of this comes down to safety, but also efficiency. So today, this field is used, but specifically around things like liquid hydrogen, which is really where we're trying to go from an environmental point of view. There's a very complex fluid to describe and to understand because it's carried at such incredibly low temperatures.
Prof, before we go in the explanation of deep things, I want us to start slowly and take off because now we're speaking aerospace, serious things.
Yes.
Can you please start with introducing yourself fully? I don't want to miss anything.
Okay.
Maybe someone is like, oh, this is amazing. Who is this professor?
Okay. So I'm Professor Arnaud Malan. I hold the National South African Research Chair in Industrial CFD, Computational Fluid Dynamics, at the University of Cape Town. And I also serve as the founder and managing director for a spin-out company, Elemental Numerics, which has been a natural outcome of our initiative and is now employing people in South Africa to generate jobs and revenue.
Wow, that's amazing. That it means your work is not just only amazing, but it's also touching our economy. But Prof, can you also, taking you back a little bit, can you tell us about your background, your research education background? Yes. I know it's been years.
So Mpendulo, I grew up quite a poor kid.
Okay.
And I had big dreams. I didn't know how to achieve them. I came out of a house that was, only my mom was in the end with us, my brother and I. And, she taught me a work ethic. In this world, you work and you dream and you don't give up on your dreams. And that has been an inspiration to me my whole life, my mom. And it's, the fact that I come out of a poor background has taught me also to be innovative. Life comes with so many challenges at every moment. But if you learn to just adjust to them and roll with the punches, but not give up on your dream, you can make it work. And we have no aerospace or space industry in this country. Yeah. So to work in this field, we've had to learn to outcompete people abroad in their own countries. Okay, and what's helped us do that is to be innovative, and creative, and not give up on your dreams. And as a very proud South African, I think many of our role models is Madiba, and he used to say, "It's only impossible until it's done." And one of the things I want to share out of this podcast is, don't be afraid to dream.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to follow your dreams and, make it happen. It can be done. We in South Africa can create world-class, world-leading initiatives.
Yeah. Prof, you said something that this is a space that is not very much familiar in South Africa, aerospace and the work that you do, someone might be thinking, then how did you... I normally tell people that you dream what you know. It's hard to dream what you do not know. Correct. So as a space that is not widely known, how did you get into this kind of research?
So that's a good question. And the first thing I did was I realized that if you want to operate in this space, you somehow have to break in. Okay. And I had to go overseas to make links with people in the aerospace industry.
Okay.
Because there was no research group that did this in our country. But today, all of our students and staff interact with leading aerospace companies and space companies in their research. And they live their dreams. And a lot of them, fortunately, they now work at the Airbus, they work at the Ariana Group, they work at leading aerospace companies abroad. They're living their dreams there. And, so we're fortunate to be able to create a base here where they can live their dreams. And I can tell you now, as we sit here, 3 of the people out of this group are working at Airbus.
Okay.
Another one is working for the Ariana Group, which is Western, the European top space company, and the list goes on.
I feel like I'm still missing a gap. I remember you told me about your mom.
Yep.
You were inspired. You came not from a very wealthy background, and then now you are here. And then now you're telling us that you even went overseas.
Yeah.
What might I ask? What changed? What happened? Because going overseas is also needs money. How did that happen?
Pendula, because of the fact that I come out of a poor background, I realized very soon, in this world, you have to work hard. I worked very hard at university.
Okay.
And I had the support, fortunately, from my mom. And I was able to get a UK scholarship that paid for everything.
Okay.
And that was a game-changing moment, and that enabled me to go in and break in.
Okay.
But what's nice about the SARChI initiative is, and it's a fantastic initiative in Pendula.
Okay.
It's created a base for me over a period of many years, more than a decade, to fund our talented students and create those links directly from here. They don't have to go overseas, apply for a bursary, go through that whole process I had to go through. They can actually now do it from here.
Okay. So, before we tap into the work that you just presented at NASA, I do believe that as an engineer, there was a problem that you were solving. Every research is trying to solve a particular problem.
That's right.
What is the problem that you and your team are trying to solve?
So, as we try to move towards liquid hydrogen and other cryogenics that are going to be much better for us as an energy source into the future, we have to understand what these strange liquids do inside of tanks as we use them and store them and transport them. Existing technology to model this with these virtual models, right? That's what we need to do. We need to model them virtually to tell engineers what is going to happen in the tank. They are so slow. It takes days to weeks to months for one simulation on the computer to run. That means that the engineers can't actually make their decisions in time. Okay? When a rocket needs to launch, it needs to launch. They can't wait forever to design the tank. And so what we have done over a decade, really, is come up with a whole new set of governing equations fundamentally to reduce that time of months down to a day. So now engineers can actually use our software and do a what if. What is going to happen in the tank if we design the tank this way? Tomorrow morning when they walk in, they have that result.
Wow. So your research they give them speed.
They give them speed and they can respond in realistic timelines and start doing design optimization and analysis and evaluation. And that is what this recent seminar that we were asked to do at the NASA Glenn Research Center last week. It was in front of a large crowd, all the NASA scientists and engineers that actually work in this field. They confirmed that what we are doing has indeed done that. It has brought the speeds. It's the simulations are done with such speed that it can actually start being used for design much more effective.
Yeah, obviously now we do have a product now that we know that instead of months now we're gonna get answers within a very short space of time.
That's right.
How did you guys achieve this? Tell us a little bit about the methodology that you guys followed to achieve this fantastic results.
So, I think the first thing is that we are blessed in Africa. We are really blessed. We don't actually realize how blessed we are. We have such a diverse, community. And all you need to do is, when students come in, try to tap in. What is their thinking like? What can they bring to the table? And then support them in that. And in that diversity and that melting pot of different approaches and opinions, out come these wonderful, innovative ideas. And, the innovations are all the way from computational mathematics to how we've developed the software, to how we're actually packaging the software to be easy to use, to, how we interact with our collaborators and clients abroad. Everything is just, the response we get, it's so fresh, it's so colorful, it's so creative. And I put that down to this wonderful, beautiful continent and country that we found ourselves in.
Okay. It came back to my mind when I was reading your work the first time. I was like, I thought these aeroplanes are using petrol. And then when I discussed it with my colleague, we're like, no, it's liquid hydrogen. I just want also to bring in people who are like me, who are still saying, liquid hydrogen tank. Yeah. Is it like petrol in a car? What?
So let me explain. So, you are right. At the moment, it is like petrol that they're using in these big aircraft. Okay. We've also done a lot of work on that for them and with Airbus specifically. It's called jet fuel. It's just got a slightly different mixture as fuel, but the drive now, especially Airbus is leading this, is, we know that these jet fuels emit a lot of greenhouse gases. Okay. Can we do this more environmentally safe? Okay, and we know that rockets operate on cryogenic liquids, like liquid oxygen they carry. Also, some rockets carry liquid hydrogen and satellites. Okay. Can we actually also start using this on aircraft? So there's a big initiative at Airbus where they are now investigating this and seeing, is it possible? And that's where the liquid hydrogen mix comes in. But there's another link as well. And that is that, environmentally driven countries like the EU are now looking to transition the economy more onto environmentally friendly fuels like green hydrogen. We're a big supporter on that because we're looking at establishing a green hydrogen economy in Southern Africa. I think we can do incredibly well out of this, and but if we're going to create, manufacture this green hydrogen, it basically means we're going to do it in a way that's not going to add more CO2 to nature. We also need people that are going to use it, like aircraft, like spacecraft, like satellites. Okay. And we're working on that side. We're also working with shipping companies overseas wanting to start shipping these things. So you're right. Liquid hydrogen on aircraft not used yet, but the design work and the evaluation work is now ongoing. Okay. There are several big challenges. Okay. So it's not a done deal. It's going to take years. But like Madiba said, it's only impossible until somebody does it. And that's what we're doing.
Yes, that's good. Okay, so societal impact. Research is funded by the general public.
Yes.
The general public would want to know how are we benefiting from this as South Africa?
Yes.
And also I'll tap into you presenting your work in NASA. I do believe that it's a big deal. It's not just any research work. It should be interesting.
Exactly.
When you were presenting your work there, what were the interesting highlights for you? And why do you think they gave you the opportunity to present your work? And also, how are we benefiting as South Africans from your research work?
Okay, so let me maybe start with NASA. How did this happen?
Yeah.
It was not easy to break in. These guys are very busy and also in demand. But I found that one of the academics that also interact closely with NASA, Professor Dr. Mo Kasimi, and he publishes regularly. And I started sending him snippets of our work and what we were achieving.
Okay.
I just, sent it to him by email every couple of weeks and said, look at this, look at this. Initially, there was no response. But over time, I suddenly started getting a flurry of responses. What are you doing there? I didn't know you existed. Let's talk. Okay. And then we had a meeting online and he was so excited, he didn't want to let us go. And then he said, you must do a seminar. And that's how it all unfolded. So it was on the back of these wonderful results that we were getting.
Yeah.
Okay. They wanted to meet with us online and see, is this real? Okay. And it is a big deal. It is a big deal for us because they are the leaders in liquid hydrogen modeling and design. So it's a big deal. We've learned a lot from them. So, it's not just done in isolation through their publications, their experimental results. And also, I must just again say, it's a lot of thanks to our collaborators. We're involved in a dedicated project in the EU called HASTA. And that project has been absolutely instrumental and our collaborators there. So, a lot has contributed to the success. What is South Africa getting? Well, the biggest challenge we have when we talk to overseas potential clients, collaborators is, who are you? From Africa? Where's Cape Town? It's almost like you're not taken seriously because you're from Africa.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say, but then when we actually start showing them what we do, they start taking us seriously. And one of the things that we want to do is to show the world and showcase the world that, we have a lot to offer here and that they should work with us and invest. If you want to be part of the global community and help engineer your own future, you have to be part of the global community. You have to be at that level where, you're part of the decision making going forward, because then you as a country and a community can also benefit. So I think that's one thing, just that, awareness that we've got this incredible talent in South Africa and that they should be working with us and they should be investing in us. So I think that's maybe on the science awareness side and opening up doors to companies and students in this country. But there's another one as well. That's something that Nana, who's leading the SARChI initiative and doing a fantastic job, by the way. He's been a big driver of that, and we've picked that up. Can we actually also create work out of this wonderful investment from the taxpayers' money? And it's precisely what we have done. We are now employing more and more people coming out of the research group in our company, our spin-out company, Elemental Numerics. And Elemental Numerics is starting to trade, okay? And we're starting the company's starting to win international contracts. It's starting to bring millions into the country every year. Wow. It's growing, and we're about to launch our first sort of this product that we presented to NASA, this groundbreaking software product. We're about to do a soft launch this year to actually start, racking up clients and people paying for our software right across the world. Wow. So, we are actively doing that. It's not just a pipe dream, it's actually happening. And because of the revenue that's already flowing into our spin-off company, we're doubling, whatever the NRF puts in SARChI, okay? That we're matching with additional funding coming in. Wow. And what is the plan? The plan is to, in 3-4 years, when this chair comes to an end, maybe go for co-funded chair.
Okay.
If, that gets co-funded by our spin-out, and we keep on growing and keep on building this wonderful momentum that we have created. I think this is something that I want to press on all the chairs, on all the researchers, that the biggest challenge that we face in our country is youth unemployment.
Sure.
We must all take that on seriously. And there's no better way than to yourself go and start creating well-paid jobs. And that's what we're trying to do.
Well done, Prof, on all this amazing achievement. This is
Thank
really,
you.
really big. So now we're having international collaboration contracts. You're employing people. We have this amazing product that came out from the research. Where to from now? What's the next step or the next goal?
So what is now unfolding in real time, I was also involved in this last night, I'm getting more and more Ivy League universities overseas reaching out to me, wanting to, us to collaborate with them, but instead of us funding, they're funding. Okay? Look how the game is changing. We're starting to become bigger influencers in the international community. We're being pulled into more collaborations, more industries from a research point of view. So that's really fantastic and wonderful. And it's really a way of not only benefiting from the international community, but also influencing it and supporting it, okay? And building out our prestige. I think there's a lot of growth that's to be done there. At the moment, we have about 10 universities that we collaborate with, some Ivy League universities, including Stanford University. That's sort of number one in CFD, but we want to grow that pool a lot. Okay. The other thing is on the company side. We're about to launch our product. We want to really grow. Okay, we want to grow a company to 30 or 50 people with PhDs and master's degrees in applied mathematics. Okay, that can actually come in and work, and we want to be the leading provider of technology and innovation in the design of cryogenics. That's our target. And at this point in time, what our analysts are saying, business analysts are saying to us is we can make this happen. Okay, so that's where we want to go on that front, and then as that develops and evolves, to start reinvesting that in our own economy, in our own manufacturing sector, growing that whole thing. Because, on the modeling and the design side, that's a sharp end of the sword. If you have that, you can also start building your own aerospace industry.
Yeah.
And that is something maybe a little bit further down the line.
Okay. Prof, I want to ask about outreach and also ask on behalf of a young grade 12 student that's like, I want to do this. This is exciting. What kind of degree should they pursue to be like you? I know maybe engineering, I also hear applied maths. I also see some of your students are coding. Who can join this research group?
So, there's a shift in the landscape right now, and engineering is certainly an option. But what's happening is that as the engineering landscape is shifting, the mathematics and programming content is going backwards. Okay. So, going forward, it's more and more, do applied math.
Okay.
Go into a science, do a science degree.
Okay.
In this, there's also something very exciting because, science and applied math has traditionally been, we analyzing the stars, which is very much a lot of fun, but it doesn't generate any money. But I think the time has come where science and applied math and computer science can actually start getting involved in things like this, and actually use, that abstraction of deep science and governing equations and computational mathematics to create a career for themselves. Okay, so, and we need a lot more outreach. Some of the work that you are doing, I'm doing way too little, but I think much more should be done in our country to make students aware, at sort of, high school level, that there is a serious career and a wonderful career to be had out of math and programming.
Okay. Before I close, Prof, I know that you probably have your people that you want to acknowledge, but I also want you to share any other thing that you want us to include in this session before we close, if there's anything that we left behind.
Thank you. So first I want to thank the NRF, the SARChI initiative, under Nana's leadership. Without that, this would not have been possible. Simply not possible. I also want to thank our collaborators, my collaborators at Airbus. They've been absolutely instrumental. The combination of those two have, been the seed that I needed to start this wonderful initiative. And then the many collaborators that we are working with, too many to mention, but let me again mention the EU HASTOP project, maybe also the Slow D EU project, and then our collaborators at a range of the universities abroad. I'd like to thank them as well. The research office at UCT has been phenomenal. Christina Path in particular, so supportive. These people are not mentioned. Also you guys, you come here, you help us shine.
Yeah.
Nobody thanks you. I want you all to know that, we are all trying to build a wonderful new future. We've not taken off in this country, but we can now. The time is ripe for us. And all of us working and striving and helping and pushing and in honesty is going to make this happen. I think, the final thing that I just want to say is it's an appeal to not only government, but also business in this country.
Okay.
Invest in people, please. Invest in the development of people, but not only the development where they can actually find employment in our beautiful country. Okay? And that requires maybe rethinking of what we do in our curriculums. It's going to require, awareness at schools. Okay? But please invest in this beautiful country of ours. Because that, if we all work together, I think my projection is that this is going to be the sought after country in the world.
Wow. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time. One of the other things that you guys do not know, I'm seeing a lot of awards that Prof has shared with us. We're seeing a lot of probes. I know, so before I close, they might think that you only have presented at NASA and only international collaboration, but you've been awarded so much. I do want you to shine and share all the amazing achievements.
Let me maybe pick three. There are a number, but I don't want to waste too much of your time. So we have a world record in what's called water rocketry. That still stands. It's Class A water rocketry. We're on Wikipedia for that. We set the record up about 10 years ago, and it still stands. We sent the rocket up almost 1 kilometer and fueled by pressurized air and water. We've received the Innovation Award from Airbus. It was a big award. It was voted on right across all the Airbus sites because of some of this work that we have done for them. And we've also received a silver medal from the Royal Aeronautical Society in the UK. This is the oldest aeronautical society in the world, by the way. And the silver medal gives you, they only award 1 or 2 silver medals every year. And it was, quote unquote, for a major innovation to flight physics. But, around all of this, I just want to again acknowledge these wonderful, talented students that we have. And my only deal with them is, 1, you follow your dreams. 2, you never give up. And that's how we do it.
What another way to close it, instead of closing it with so much amazing achievements. It is another episode of Science Matters, where we discuss science matters and emphasize that science really does matter.